Hey everyone, thanks for joining me on our YouTube channel, Flippin' Hippos. I'm Star. If you're new here or you have not already, please consider subscribing to the channel and helping us feed a hungry hippo. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up as you're listening along today. Today we're doing my favorite video that I get to do once a month, Plush That Sold on eBay. We're taking a look at all of the plush that sold in the month of May on our eBay platform. Later in the week, I will be doing what sold on Poshmark and Mercari videos, and we'll be able to see our plush friends that sold on those platforms. For today, I'm only focusing on the plush that sold on eBay. If you want more intensive details about cost of goods, how much an item sold for on a best offer, if it's shipped first class, I do a what sold on eBay video every Monday, sometimes every other Monday, but typically every Monday, and you can get all of that information there. And these plush-centric videos, I like to focus more on talking about each animal, the brand, why it would be a good item to pick up when you're outsourcing, and why maybe you would want to pass on it. So let's start with the Kelly Toy Zebra. You may have seen him in this week's What Sold on eBay. He just sold last week, so he was one of our last plush sales in the month of May. Kelly Toy is a good brand. In fact, you guys are probably familiar with Squishmallows. They're made by Kelly Toy. But Kelly Toy also makes a lot of like carnival price type plushies, claw machine plushies. They have a wide array. So Kelly Toy in and of itself is a brand. So Kelly Toy in and of itself as a brand has plushies ranging from low-end bread and butter all the way up to huge bolos. I'm sure you've seen what some of those Squishmallows go for. Personally, I don't pass up on them if they're $1 or less. So if I see them in the thrift and the cost of goods is right, I will pick up any Kelly Toy without comping it. If they're higher priced, I'll usually pass unless it's something very special or a Squishmallow. This is just a cute zebra. He's got pink eyes, or she's got pink eyes, and was just a little bit more unique because of that pink in the eye. Zebras aren't that saturated either, so there's not that many of them on eBay to compete with. Next up, we have a Build-A-Bear Poodle. You guys know how I feel about Build-A-Bears. I think they're a luxury brand of stuffed animals. You can order them online from Build-A-Bear, some of the more specialty ones, like Doctor Who, Star Wars. Obviously, you can buy them used on many different selling platforms. But typically, you have to go to the Build-A-Bear workshop to build and make your own Build-A-Bear if you want some of these more plain ones that aren't themed. And not all of them can be found on the Build-A-Bear workshop, and not all of them can be made in the actual workshop that you find in the malls and the stores. Some of them are harder to find. They're going to be more rare. They're going to sell for more money. It depends on the character. It depends on the show it's from. I still feel like they are a luxury brand of stuffed animals. I won't start mine for less than 18. So even the most common plain Build-A-Bear, I'm going to start at $22.49. We run a 20% off sale all week. That will knock it down to $17.99. And then I can have a little wiggle room if I wanted to do a 25 or 30% off sale or do best offers. But by starting them at 18, I have some wiggle room. I'll go down to 14 and 15 for some of them, but I'm not going to start there because I feel like when you start at 14, now the buyer wants a $12 or a $10 offer. So I would recommend not starting them any lower than 18. This one started at 20. She went on a 30% sale. And then we took a best offer of 16 after that. But, you know, she's not your run-of-the-mill plain teddy bear either. So just keep that in mind with Build-A-Bears. I know that when you comp them on eBay, You will see a lot of turds who are pricing them way below their value. Well, they're either turds that are racing to the bottom in hopes that theirs will sell first, which is not a good mentality for running a business or competing in a market. But that's a soapbox for another day. Or they're just uneducated. So I'm here to tell you, Build-A-Bears are not poop. Do not price them like they are poop. Don't price them like they're Kelly Toy claw machine plushies. All right, next up we have Neopets. So when you find actual full-sized branded Neopet plushies, some of them can go for really good money depending on the character. I had a whole handful, probably a dozen or so, of these little ones from McDonald's Happy Meal. They came in a lot, so I had a whole bunch of them. And this cat sold for $9.99. The majority of them sold for that $9 to $18, even for these little Happy Meal ones. So cute. So don't overlook Neopets. They are still popular. Next up, we have this terrier puppy dog. I got him for free. I had purchased a wholesale lot of clothing from another reseller who threw in a bunch of plush for free. He didn't have any tush tags. So the thing with animals, with plushies, a lot of times, even if it's something you can recognize or it looks like the target dog, if it doesn't have its tags, it's not a licensed character, can't prove it's a licensed character, you want to be careful about how you word your title on eBay. For instance, Minecraft plushies, if you don't have the Mojang tag, they will hit you up for a Vero and ask you to take the listing down, and you could be at risk of getting suspended off of eBay. So just be very careful when you don't have tags. I just said it was a terrier dog and that it was realistic, and it still sold for $13.99. So that's pretty good. So far, all of these plush have shipped first class. I don't think we had any that went priority at all in May, but if we see one, I'll tell you. Here's Miss Piggy. Miss Piggy and Kermit can be very disappointing, but they can also be very exciting. I personally have had some vintage Kermits that sold for a lot of money, but a lot of them are going to be oversaturated. This is a Disney, but she's, there's so many of them, she doesn't comp very high. So just be wary when you see Muppets. I know a lot of people see Kermit, especially, and Miss Piggy and get excited. Don't pay more than 50 cents unless you're confident before you bring them home. This is a Nan Dog pet gear. So this was a pet toy from a Chewy box. It came in a wholesale lot with all the other plushies. I actually was going to keep it as a hippo, but then I comped it, and it sold for $17.49 rather quickly. So look out for those Nan Dog pet gears. You guys know about Loveys, right? If you're new to the channel and you haven't heard me talk about Loveys, Loveys are square, typically small, but they do come in larger sizes. But usually they're around 12 inches, 12 to 16 inches. Little security blankets with little plush heads in the middle. They can be any animal. It could be a doll, but they usually have a plush head in the middle. Some of them will have the plush over here in the corner and the blankie coming off of that corner where the animal is. This one was really cute because it looked like the rabbit was holding the Lovey. But typically a Lovey is a security blanket with a plush in it. They do come in really big, like full crib sizes as well, but most commonly you're going to see these smaller ones. This is a Carter's. Any brand of Lovey, I always tell people you should pick it up if you see it. Some are going to sell for $12 to $18 and be bread and butter. Some can go for up to $60 and $80. It depends on the brand. It depends on the animal. But they're all good to source. They all have a pretty fast sell-through rate. They don't sit for very long before they move. And you also want to use keywords like security blanket, baby, infant if you have room. But Lovey is super important to put in your title with these. It's also interesting to note that you can use the keyword Lovey on other plush that's meant for infants. So if you have like a baby gun branded plush, or any plush that's branded or marketed towards infants, like with the soft cloth eyes, crib toys, anything like that. You can still use the word lovey as a keyword, but typically that is associated with these little security blankets. This is a vintage waffle weave Fisher Price cozy. So this is going to be something that's a once in a lifetime holy grail find. You're not going to find these out in the wild all the time. They are very rare. They're very obscure. This one's tush tag is faded. But if you see any of these vintage baby toys, speaking of the soft eyes, you see how they're sewn on there with threads. They're not like the hard eyeballs. This is an infant safe toy. But if you see any of these vintage waffle weave baby toys, you guys should probably pick it up. It's a bolo. This one was listed, I think, for 2 days, maybe. It was over a weekend. Sold very quickly. There are other waffle weave baby toys and blankets and like loveys that were from like the 90s that you want to keep an eye out for as well. Speaking of baby gun, this is a brand you'll often see on baby stuffed animals or plushies. This is My First Teddy. And you can see his eyes are also cloth or sewn on. So you want to look for all these little baby toys and put these keywords in there. There's infant, baby. Here's a Disney store Tigger. So a couple of things I want to talk about when it comes to this plush. First of all, the majority of Winnie the Pooh plushies are very oversaturated. There are a few characters within Winnie the Pooh that aren't, but for the majority of them, they are oversaturated, and I would consider them poop or even just low-end bread and butter. Real quick side note, if you wanted to learn more about plush in general, different brands and characters, their average sell-through rates, their average sale prices, some of the myths that surround plushies, some of the FAQs, my plush guide is available. It's chock full of that information. There's a PDF book that comes with it with different chapters talking about plush that just basically teaches you a really lot of information. It also has a spreadsheet that has all of that information about sell-through rates and prices. And there's Winnie the Pooh characters on there divided up by which character it is as to where it falls under Bolo, Bread and Butter, and Pooh. Because every character is different. You can grab your copy of the guide using the links in the description box below. Tigger here, unfortunately, is one of those characters that's oversaturated. A lot of times you're going to find Disney in general and Winnie the Pooh specifically plushies that are Hasbro, Mattel, that are going to be worth less money than just a Disney plush or a Disney World or Disneyland or Disney Parks, Disney Store. So you want to pay attention to that when you're looking at their tags. Disney Store is generally good. And then the animals that are a little different are going to be generally better. So your average oversaturated Tigger is the regular orange Tigger. This one is white with a blue nose and a blue sweater. He's part of the winter collection from the Disney Store. There was a snowflake collection as well. So I do try to grab these white ones when I do find them. When I first started reselling, I had lucked upon a yard sale with a ton of these white Winnie the Pooh characters from Disney Store. And at that time, they were selling for $25 and $30. This one sold, for $15.74. So that's just another reason why we all shouldn't race to the bottom. Next, we have a Sugarloaf teddy bear. So Sugarloaf is another one of those brands by Kelly Toy that you can find in the claw machines, things like that. But you can see here it is Kelly Toy. So this is an example of one of their subsidiaries, as it were. This guy's really cute. He's unique. He's different. He's a purple fuzzy bear. Again, I don't pass on Kelly Toy when I find it if it's under $1. Here is a Walt Disney World, Disney Parks official plush. So when I was mentioning the different Disneys that are worth more, the tush tags for Disney Store will say the Disney Store like this one says. And usually these animals will have somewhere on their body that says Disney Store. Usually, but not always. But he's got one right there on his foot. You see it? It says Disney Store on his foot. And then your Disney park tags are going to look like this. This is Dale. And you can see that I put in the title in all caps, Dale. Down here in the description, I put sell is for Dale only. That way I don't get a buyer who purchases this and thinks they were getting Chip and Dale and opens a 9 ad on me. They know it's only for Dale. Also, side note, do you know how to tell Chip and Dale apart from each other? Chip has the black nose, like a chocolate chip. And then Dale has the red nose. And last but not least, speaking of oversaturated, inexpensive Tiggers, this one sold on a best offer of $10. He is official Disney. And he was free to me. So I can't say that I wouldn't pass on him if I found him for 25 cents or 50 cents or even $1. I'm a sucker for Disney plush. But keep in mind that he only sold for $10. So when you're out there looking at these Disney plushies, guys, pay attention to the tags. Maybe you want to comp them before you pick them up. And again, you can always get our guide, our plush guide, and you can keep a copy of that on your phone. And when you're out sourcing, if you find a Tigger like this, you can quickly look at the spreadsheet and see that Tigger may be one of those oversaturated brands with a low sell-through rate and decide to pass on him. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns about any of the plush you saw in this video, plush or reselling in general, let me know down in the comments. And don't forget to join our Facebook group, Flippin' Hippos Reseller Pod. Go be productive. Go make some money. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Y'all are the best. Bye.